welcome everyone to what should be a very interesting and exciting panel. We have some very good panelists here tonight, presenting on the chapters and the kind of general overview of the book, which is about the BRICS, an anti-capitalist critique. We have from right to left, Judith Marshall, Patrick Bond, Anna Garcia, and Leo Panich. Without further ado, I don't have anything to say, so we'll just get started right away with Anna.
Surprise.
Yeah, this is the first time. Definitely write in your calendar. So Anna.
So hello everyone, good afternoon. I get to start, even though I don't really like it because I'm the only non-native speaker here. And well, start is always a challenge.
You're doing good.
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to just give you an overview of the book, what we intended to do, what was it in the end, what was the process of building this together with Patrick, and then each of our colleagues here will talk a little bit more about their experiences and their essays and the content of it. BRICS is not an easy topic, an easy theme for everyone. It's not like in every social movement or not in everyday's life of people, of course. Here, not in Brazil or in South Africa, it's something that is far away from everyone. But it kind of like was put in our heads, or we've heard somehow of this group from the south, of this coalition of developing economies that was supposed to be global emerging economies that could maybe be a challenge to the Western status quo, to US power, US economic supremacy. So probably you've heard of it in this sense. And this book tries to make a counter view of this kind of common sense around the BRICS. The BRICS emerged as a bloc, as a political group, in the occasion of the financial crisis. Even though the name BRICS was labeled by, maybe you know that, by this Jim O'Neill from Goldman Sachs, in the beginning of the 2000-2001, BRICS as a group, the first meeting, the first summit was during the financial crisis in 2009, with this, maybe this perspective, this intention to try to build a coalition to confront the crisis, to try to find alternatives together. The first meeting was in Russia, was called by Putin that time. And from then on, every year, the BRICS groups, they meet in one of the countries. They, in that time, and they kept on that, started to demand reform in global financial institutions, especially the IMF and the World Bank. So the first step that they did was to try to propose or try to promote the idea that the Bretton Woods institutions were not representative anymore of the world, and they needed to be reformed, that the financial crisis was a signal for that the world economy needed to have more participation and more voice of the global south or from developing economies and this kind of things. So BRICS did try to, in this sense, reform the existing institutions, the existing order in that time, and succeeded in the end of this, right now, not in that time of the financial crisis, but did succeed in this reform, a very shy reform of the IMF in the end. But what we see during this whole period, and that's the point that we try to make with this book, or with the discussions that were brought in the book, is that BRICS, more than reforming what is existing now, BRICS is trying to reinforce global capitalism, having more voice and more participation in this. Not really reforming or not even trying to change the world order. BRICS is trying to participate more in the world order as we know it, and the economic institutions as we know them, and the mechanisms of capital accumulation in the world as we know them, and not try to change it. So that's the main idea that we try to materialize through these essays. So BRICS is figuring in the end as lenders of financial resources for developing economies. BRICS are participating in negotiations, for instance, in the climate change summits, not reforming this, not proposing something new, but participating even more. BRICS is, in the end, even though China is coming maybe a little stronger with the renminbi, but BRICS is in the end reinforcing the role of the dollar, because BRICS hasn't changed the role of the dollar in lending and in trade. So BRICS is not, that's the main idea that we're trying to bring, is not in the end really trying to do something new, but BRICS is trying to come and do with the others, with the Western, with the main powers that we know, the US and Europe, doing it together, having more voice, having a seat at the table with traditional powers as we know them. So many people of the left in general, not social democrats, not the middle left, but people from the left, people that were comrades that we used to be together, try to put a different view, that BRICS is really trying to change, because BRICS is reforming those institutions, and BRICS is bringing new institutions to global economy. For instance, the New Development Bank and the contingent arrangement. I don't know if, maybe we can explain this later if it's not known by you. So we try to bring another view in this book, especially trying to organize a little the ideas of who is who in this whole BRICS discussion. First, in our introduction, we put a kind of box together, trying to organize the main positions, the main ideological strands concerning the BRICS. The first one would be what we call the BRICS from above, and that touches our governments, who are supposed to be left governments, right? The PT government in Brazil, or the ANC government in South Africa, those who are trying to promote the idea of this global south becoming important, having multinational corporations, having financial institutions, and therefore changing the existing order with their own actors. So bringing their own corporations into the global game of capitalism. And with these governments, of course, the financial groups and the financial corporations and the multinational corporations from these countries. The other group would be the BRICS from the middle, and that's very common in our academic field, which is those groups who, would wait and see. Let's stand there, let's study the BRICS, let's see what they're doing, and let's see what will happen. Let's not take position right now. That's very common within the academic sphere, the academic field, and that's also very common in big NGOs, such as Oxfam or other bigger NGOs who play a role in those big summits, big meetings, that want to propose, okay, we're not denouncing and not only criticizing, we want to propose new things. So for instance, Oxfam made a big list towards the BRICS Development Bank. So these groups were not totally pro-BRICS, but are not totally also critical of how BRICS is working within global capitalism. And another group is one that we're trying to find out who exactly fits in it. It's what we call the BRICS from below. These would be connections, struggles put together by social movements, grassroots organizations, communities, which are fighting against some project or some big corporations that belong to the BRICS or are connected to the BRICS in their own territories. So they are trying to link together, they are trying to fight together, they're trying to put these corporations out of their territories, they're trying to resist some of the projects that some of the BRICS are pushing in their own realities. And We're trying to figure out what's the fourth group. The fourth group would be those who are mostly in the US or in Northern Europe, saying BRICS doesn't mean anything. Actually, BRICS won't mean nothing anymore. US power still persists, and BRICS won't have any role very soon. This is the pro-Western power group, so pro-Western corporate group. So Patrick maybe can talk a little more about this. It doesn't exist, or it didn't exist so far, is a more left-wing, more critical study of the BRICS as global capitalism develops within these countries and from these countries outside. In the relations between them, in the relations between these BRICS countries and other so-called developing economies or other poor countries. So the book tries to fill a gap of a critical studies, of critical analysis of the BRICS, not promoting the BRICS as an alternative to Western and U.S. power, an alternative from the South, the new, the new idea of something different that would suppress the Western power and the U.S. So to see the BRICS within the framework of global capitalist analysis and class struggles. So this was our main idea, and we could bring together a few contributions, a few analysis, a few thoughts that would never be together, could never discuss with each other, but we're put together here and try to push this discussion. One of the objectives of the book was then to put this in the left, let's say left academic group. So to bring this critical view, to fill this gap of this critical view also within us academics. And the other goal of the book was to have some material, some analysis put together to support exactly social movements, unions, social organizations, which are really in these struggles, which are really fighting, which are really coming together against some of the BRICS projects. And this was really done. We had in South Africa in 2013 and in Brazil 2014, we call counter summits to the BRICS summits. In South Africa, it was called the BRICS from Below. It was the first getting together of these social movements. In Fortaleza, had a more light name, was Dialogues for Development, because the groups, the big NGOs, didn't want to really confront the PT government in Brazil. And we could then, in the Fortaleza Summit, it was the first version of these essays, which are here, we could launch these essays together in the form of a journal with the University of Ceará, and we could then launch the Portuguese version for that time there. What was the result of it? So in my evaluation, what did we achieve and what we could not achieve with the book? I think we achieved the goal of filling the gap of this academic side, because this was really missing, and we could, I think, call attention and bring some substantial analysis that are not either fitting in this very optimistic group seeing the BRICS as the alternative from the global south, and it's not fitting in the critical view of the BRICS supporting more US power, let's say like this, right? Or ignoring the BRICS as if the BRICS doesn't matter. So we could, I think, fill this gap very well. And we brought, that's the other positive side of the book, we brought together and we advanced together, in my opinion, a little bit this theoretical work on imperialism, sub-imperialism, capital imperialism that we discussed in the first part of the book. So this was, I think, one of the best things that we could do. We brought together some analysis from the perspective of imperialism, sub-imperialism about the BRICS. And many of these people here don't talk about BRICS, they don't write about BRICS. But we asked them, and then they stopped and they did this analysis, and so this is very original. So the book has this positive part of putting people to kind of talk to each other, even though only written, not personally, and therefore are advancing a little more what kind of concept that we can have to really characterize those new power relations. Because I think what we need to do is qualify better what we know by South-South relations. Qualify better what are the power relations today. They're not the same as 20, 30 years ago. So the book did, I think, and I hope that when you read it, you find it could advance in that. What we didn't achieve so for this evaluation so far, because the book is very new, is to really get in touch the social movements that we want. First, because the book is in English, so all non-English speakers won't be able to read it. And BRICS is not a topic that is in everyday struggle and everyday agendas of social movements, so that's therefore hard for that. And even when we had the Portuguese version in Fortaleza, there wasn't a space or a specific space that we could present the contributions, that we could discuss the contributions with the movements there. We launched the book, we could talk to people, but we couldn't advance more the discussion in this rush of counter summits of many people together. I think the essays, some of them need to be advanced because they were written in 2013, because many of them were written in the context of the summit in Durban. And we had a lot of difficulties, and that's interesting because this is also a result of this non-relations with Chinese and Russian movements. We had very difficulties in finding critical views that would fit in this perspective from China and from Russia. In the end, we could. We have a very good essay from China. We have a few essays from Russia, but it wasn't easy. The Brazil and South Africa relations that are prior to BRICS, that did not emerge in BRICS, between social movements, between left academics, they are better, I think, developed, and they're reflected here in the book more than the others. And the Indians ones are also very good. So just to try to finalize this introduction part, the book is then divided in 3 parts. The first one I talked already is more this theoretical discussion on how to characterize the BRICS as sub-imperial, as capital imperials, as within the American empire. So the discussion between Leo, Virginia, Fontes, Matias Lucy, who is an expert in the concept of sub-imperialism by Rui Mauro Marine, Patrick Bond, who's working in the concept of sub-imperialism through David Harvey and Rosa Luxemburg, and then Claudio Katz from Argentina, who talks more about peripheral, what he calls peripheral neoliberalism. The second part of the book is more related to concrete studies, concrete case studies, concrete multinational corporations from the BRICS. So there are a few essays about the BRICS in Africa, the BRICS in South America, Chinese oil companies in South America, Brazilian construction companies who are now in the middle of this crisis in Brazil, construction companies in Africa, extractive companies from the BRICS in Africa as a whole, Vale, the multinational mining corporations that you know from here, and Judith will talk about it. We have here some material from the network against Vale in the world, until some 2 essays about Russia from the perspective from 2 experts in Russia. And then the third part it's called BRICS Within Capitalism, within global capitalism. It's a final part that was supposed to be short essays. They're not always very short. Some of them are short, some of them are not. But they're a composition of different views about the BRICS with some big names. Well, Manuel Wallenstein, Elmer Altvater, William Robinson, and some others. There are powerful, very strong essays, one from which perspective, environmental or BRICS in global capitalism or transnational classes, peripheral relations, and others, financial institutions. So we put them, we group them together because each of them has a specific topic and we didn't want to leave one of them out. So they are powerful contributions that are short and very direct to each of the topics that they want to talk about. And in the same part of the book, there are 3 final essays that were written after the Fortaleza summit, so they were not in the Portuguese journal that I just talked about. 2 of them are from me and Patrick's, trying to figure out and to reflect and to bring some ideas about what could be possibilities to build connections, solidarity networks of the BRICS from below. And China, who is a South African student who was there with us in Fortaleza, trying to also analyze the BRICS Development Bank. So we face this new reality after 2014, trying to figure how to go on with BRICS with a critical anti-capitalist view now. So this is an overview of the book. If I have the chance, I can talk a little bit more about what is BRICS from below, but I'll leave the space for my colleagues. Thank you.